Welcome to Spartan Labs Inside the Pit All Access MMA. I'm your host, Luke Sobiak. We have a great show today. Chris Camozzi is going to join us from the UFC, talk about him and his brother fighting coming up on the January 26th Sparta Combat League card. Speaking of Sparta Combat League, what has the whole Colorado MMA world talking? We'll explain that coming up as well. But first, let's get into the history of the Sparta Combat League. Years ago, there was a couple different MMA promotions here in Colorado, known as Rocky Mountain Bad Boys and the Beatdown MMA. Well, they sort of joined forces last July to create the Sparta Combat League. And what is the Sparta Combat League? You need to come out to one of the shows to really experience it. But they are top-notch with their production and their quality of fighters. And what they like to do also is benefit a family in need at every single fight. And not only that, Sparta does produce something known as the MMA rankings here in Colorado. And to take a closer look at the rankings, here you go. And those are the current rankings in the state of Colorado from Sparta Combat League. But don't worry, it's going to be changing with all these big upcoming fights. Stick around, we have UFC middleweight Chris Camozzi in studio. Enjoy a word from our sponsors. Welcome back to the show. One event that's coming around the corner, March 16th, is UFC 158. GSP defending his welterweight title against Nick Diaz. It's going to be a great fight. But not only is that a good fight, but the person sitting to my right is also fighting on that card. He's fighting against Nick the Promise Ring, Chris Camozzi.
Yeah, March 16th, UFC 158. I'll be fighting on the main card, pay-per-view. I'll be fighting a buddy of mine, Nick the Promise Ring, so I'm pretty excited for that. You know, we've trained a bit together. We were on the Ultimate Fighter 11 together, and it should be a great fight, you know. He comes hard, but I think I can push the pace and really walk him down and do some damage.
So Chris, tell us why you decided to become a part of Sparta Combat League.
The reason I decided to join up with Sparta Combat League is, you know, the promoter and the owner, Jeff Cisneros, came into Factory X, my gym, and they were giving us some of the ideas that they're looking forward to doing. And you know, I really liked it. I like the way that they're doing the rankings. I like the way that they're putting local fighters to contracts so they can't, you know, back out and you're contracted and you have a deep pool of fighters. But the biggest thing for me was the fact that each fight, Sparta Combat League, features a new charity, whether it be local, nationwide. They pick some charity to donate to.
That's awesome.
And their next show on the 26th, this coming Saturday, they actually chose a charity that hits close to home for me. A friend of mine through the martial arts community, a guy named Frank Edge, who's battled multiple multiple types of cancer. We're going to help raise some money for him. We've had numerous UFC fighters donate items for auction.
Nice.
So hopefully together we can put together a big chunk of money to send him and help with those medical bills.
Chris, give us your thoughts on your brother Brian's professional MMA debut.
My brother, yeah, he'll be making his pro debut January 26th. That's coming up this Saturday, and it's long awaited. Brian originally got into training about the same time I did, which people don't really realize. I think he was maybe 13 at the time. Just training off and on, he wasn't super consistent with it, but it's still a great base, and the fact that he's been training so long, I can really see him going far and being a champion. I'll take credit for toughening him up. When we were younger, him and I were always interested in fighting. We'd be jumping on the trampoline as little kids with boxing gloves, just blasting each other. And, he never cried. He was always a tough little kid. And, over the years, it's really coming out of him. When he first started training with guys like me, Chase Hackett, Chris Holland, Nick Macias, tons of our teammates, everybody used to beat up on him a little bit. And now he's getting his payback. Now I see him spar with those guys. He's a little lighter than me, but he's one of my main training partners. But the guy's his weight, he puts it on him just as good, and these are high-level pros. I think this Saturday you'll see a finish from him, whether it be a knockout or a submission. He's pretty well-rounded, and I'm just really excited. I see him going further than I do in this sport, actually. It's a little depressing to say, but, maybe I'll have to start managing him or something.
Chris Camozzi, thank you so much for joining us today. Do you have any sponsors you would like to thank?
Yeah, I'd like to thank some sponsors, that make this all possible for me. As you guys know, sponsors really help athletes train full-time. That enables me to come in the cage and put on a great show for you guys without having to work 40 hours a week. So, first and foremost, a big supporter of mine, the lead singer of Hatebreed, Jamie Josta. He's been a big sponsor of mine for a long time. Great guy. And a big local sponsor for me, toolking.com. They've really stepped up for me, and they sell just about anything you can think of involved with home improvement type of stuff, safes, anything you need. Check out Tool King. And last but not least, my favorite place to watch the UFC fights is at the Ugly Dog Sports Bar. If you're looking for somewhere to watch the fights and not have to fight the crowd at Buffalo Wild Wings and other places, check out Ugly Dog Sports Bar.
That was UFC rising middleweight Chris Camozzi. Be sure to catch his fight on pay-per-view March 16th, UFC 158, as GSP defends his welterweight title against Nick Diaz. And you can catch Chris's brother Brian Camozzi January 26th at Spartan Combat League's Future Stars. You can get tickets at thebeatdownmma.com. And don't forget, February 9th, Spartan Combat League and Inked Out present Thunderdome. You do not want to miss this card.